I've been playing Pokemon games pretty much my entire life. The series has evolved alongside the hardware it's developed for, but the gameplay arguably hasn't changed all that much. I've heard Pokemon fans ask for all sorts of things. Some do make it into the main series, and others in the side games. Real-time combat has made it into Pokken Tournament. A darker, more complex story has been explored in Black and White. Other requests seemed impossible, like an MMO or an open world game. I've cynically said for a long time, Pokemon makes way too much money to innovate. Recognizing that I might be the minority, I didn't even want a lot of the change other fans were asking for. Though its quality and my personal opinion of the series have gone up and down over the years, I like its core gameplay. I like turn-based combat. I like exploring these small but beautifully designed towns and routes dense with things to do. I love finding and collecting new and unique Pokemon to add to my team. I love the challenge of battling strong trainers and exploring a new region with every generation. I still look forward to each Pokemon release, even if I don't get to them right away. 2021 put those views to the ultimate test, with the most complacent Pokemon games yet, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I always thought Pokemon remakes served two functions: connecting Pokemon found only in older games through trade and migration to satisfy those aiming to catch them all, and reimagining older games with the shiny new graphics and processing power of modern hardware. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl didn't do either of those things. Though dated, you can still bring Pokemon from the original release of Diamond and Pearl all the way to the modern games with Pokemon Transport, Pokemon Bank, and Pokemon Home. As for reimagining the original DS visuals using the Switch's superior hardware, well, instead they chose to keep things exactly the same. The character proportions and grid-based world map that were based on the original's necessity due to hardware limitations are recreated, but now in 3D. It's not doing much to get me excited to revisit a beloved region from my childhood through the lens of what can be accomplished now with the current hardware. Then there's the substantial additional content missing from Pokemon Platinum. But alas, this video is not supposed to be about me complaining about what the Diamond and Pearl remakes could have been. With my disappointment behind me, 2022's Pokemon Legends Arceus seemed to be the risk that I thought Game Freak was never going to take. The trailers showed a truly open world. Pokemon were just existing in nature. Players interacting directly with Pokemon in an open space, sneaking around, aiming and throwing Pokeballs at wild Pokemon. Pokemon were even attacking the player. Did Pokemon fans finally get the open world game they've been asking for? Will it be good? Even if the idea of an open world isn't appealing to me, I was just as excited to see Game Freak taking the risk. You wake up on the wrong side of the dimension, with the Pokemon god speaking directly to you. Arceus tells you you'll soon wake up in a strange world. You must seek out all Pokemon to find him again. As was foretold, you wake up on a beachfront greeted by this world's professor, Professor Laventon. Briefly glazing over the fact that you fell from the sky, the professor asks you to round up and catch his Pokemon pals in the newly invented Pokeball. One tutorial later, with no familiar faces, no place to stay, and most importantly, no way to survive, you're quickly recruited into the Galactic Team's Survey Corps to earn your keep. The Survey Corps' main goal is to set out to base camps all over the Hisui region to research Pokemon. You fill out the Pokedex by catching, battling, and evolving a certain number of Pokemon you come across. It's not long after you start the game that you're sent out into the wilderness. Outside the safe walls of Jubilife Village, where you call home, are vast landscapes of the Hisui region. The first thing I noticed was how beautiful everything was. The trees, the sky, the rustling grass, and the Pokemon mulling about their business. Brought together by the relaxing sound design. Taking in the sound of wind passing through the greenery, and the distant sounds of Pokemon cries in the game's ambience fits right in with one of those 10-hour-long ambience and chill YouTube videos. Instead of one overwhelming big open world, you instead explore multiple smaller areas home to a variety of Pokemon. Probably the biggest innovation on display is how you find and catch Pokemon. It's no longer running in the tall grass, then transitioning into a battle phase. Now, if you see a Pokemon, just throw a Pokeball at it. You can skip the battle phase entirely. Aggressive Pokemon still require you to battle them first before you catch them, but you can also sneak up on them. Now you get to use the environment and different tools to surprise Pokemon. This time you're the one hiding in the tall grass. You can make different Pokeballs and even throw berries to distract Pokemon before taking aim. Pokeballs have just been invented in the Hisuian Age, so they have a new design to match. Each has a wooden handmade look to them, which pops into fireworks when you catch Pokemon. The lack of a battle phase changes the pace of the game dramatically. The less time it takes to interact with the core mechanic of catching Pokemon, and having Pokemon visible in the open world makes for a more enjoyable game. Pokemon live in a variety of locations: plains, forests, mountains, rivers, and seas, and you get to explore all of it. You even find Pokemon popping out of rocks and trees. There's a whole 242 Pokemon in Legends Arceus, with one of my favorite returning features, regional forms. The idea of taking existing Pokemon, having them adapt to a different environment, and giving them new types and new Pokedex entries to explain their change in appearance provides a perfect, near-endless fountain of ideas to pull from. Voltorb and Electrode camouflage themselves as Pokeballs. So what happens in the Hisui region when Pokeballs have a more natural handmade look to them? Then you have yourself a Grass Electric type that looks to more closely resemble this region's Pokeballs. These new forms are great for world building, but they also offer existing Pokemon a second chance at popularity or viability. Quillfish is one of my favorite Gen 2 Pokemon, but it had pretty poor stats and an even worse move pool. Enter Hisuian Quillfish. He gets his own signature move and then evolves into Overquill, becoming a stronger Pokemon in the process. Finding and catching Pokemon in Legends Arceus is the perfect chill, turn your brain off kind of gameplay loop that I really like. The only thing dampening that experience for me is the grind. In order to progress the story and reach new areas, you need to rank up in the Galaxy Team Survey Corps. You do that by completing research tasks, filling out the Pokedex, and taking on requests. It's annoying earlier in the game when you need to rank up and you don't have that many areas to explore. You end up making laps around the same spaces, catching the same Pokemon over and over. It doesn't help that filling out the Pokedex is also more of a chore. Instead of the 3 categories of unseen, seen, and caught Pokemon, now you need to hit arbitrary numbers to progressively fill out more information for each Pokedex entry. You need to catch 20 Bidoof, battle 15 Starly, or see Shanks use Spark 10 times. It just makes for a more tedious adventure when you need to hit these same requirements for every Pokemon. Maybe doing these kind of milestones for a particular area, rather than for each Pokemon, would have been a better balance of checking off a checklist, while still requiring you explore each area in more detail. Right now it just feels like busy work meant to pad the game's runtime. I don't mind it much later in the game, when you have more areas to explore and more ride Pokemon. As you rank up, you gain new Pokemon that let you travel by land, water, and air more freely. They give you access to new areas, and let you explore older areas in more detail. And it's an open world game, so of course it needs obligatory resource collecting and crafting mechanics. A lack of interesting stuff to do is replaced by scavenging for materials to craft more Pokeballs and healing items. Then eventually you'll run out of bag space and need to return to camp to drop materials off before you can repeat the process. I like these smaller open areas, but they aren't connected in any meaningful way. It would have given a better sense of cohesion if there were paths connecting these areas. Worse yet, there isn't a way to fast travel between areas. Anytime you want to go from one area to another, you need to head back to Jubilife Village first, before you can head back out to another area. My main complaint isn't that the world is too big or too small. It's that outside of the story, catching Pokemon, and resource gathering, there isn't much to do. Earlier I brought up the densely packed routes and towns of earlier games, with lots of cool locations to explore. Compared to Legends Arceus' open fields, parts just tend to feel empty. Put simply, Pokemon games are all about exploring caves. Labyrinth-like areas that have cool Pokemon inside. In Legends Arceus, there's almost no complex buildings or dungeons to explore. Locations that looked promising, like Firespit Isle, turned out to be a single straight shot walkway to the shrine. Wayward Cave was close to what I was looking for. A cave you can actually enter and explore, but the first time you walk through, you're literally escorted and have your hand held through the entire cave. Something so counter to self-exploration. The best example though has to be Snow Point Temple. A large unique space that makes you feel like you're exploring ancient ruins, solving puzzles, finding new Pokemon, and having a satisfying trainer battle at the end. Alpha Pokemon and space-time distortions help with a little bit of variety, but they are means to the same goal, catching Pokemon and resource gathering. Alpha Pokemon are stronger versions of Pokemon you can stumble into and challenge at your own pace, or not at all. Occasionally, space-time distortions appear that produce exclusive or rare Pokemon and material for a short time. The biggest change outside of exploration has to be the battle system. A lot of changes were made for a simpler battling experience. A lot of moves have been removed or had their effects simplified. We went from over 600 moves in Sword and Shield to around 180. Status effects have been changed, and move buffs and debuffs have been simplified. Pokemon no longer have abilities and can't hold items. The most interesting change is how speed works. Your speed stat is no longer a binary factor in who goes first. Instead, it determines how often you get to attack. This, along with the new agile and strong style modifiers to moves, adds strategy to when and how often you can attack. When unlocked, every move can either be modified to do less damage but let you attack again faster, or modified to do more damage but increasing the time until you can attack again. This all sounds good, but overall I think the new battle system is simplified to a fault. They removed a lot of depth. You know when you were a kid and you only wanted to use moves that do damage? That's what this game's simplified combat feels like. There's no mind games because you and your opponent aren't picking moves at the same time. It doesn't matter if you think your opponent's going to use a ground type move against your steel type, because when you switch out to a flying type, they can just choose a rock type attack instead. And because you and your opponent can get multiple attacks in, the strategy always becomes agile style, then strong style, over any careful planning on setup. Regardless of these changes, there aren't many trainer battles. And there aren't many difficult battles in the whole game. Most trainers have 2 to 3 Pokemon each. Sometimes wild Pokemon or trainers will send multiple Pokemon out at one time, but a lot of the time those extra Pokemon forfeit their own turn with some flavor text about why they aren't attacking in a Pokemon battle. Some of the best Pokemon stories are about the relationship between people and Pokemon, and Legends Arceus is no exception. The themes of faith, nature, and coexistence are clear in this story's messaging. The Galaxy team is made up of people from other regions who've come to Hisui for a better life. Not only do they need to build a better life here, but they need to survive. The Galaxy team calls Jubilife Village their home and protects its villagers from the dangerous unknown threats of Pokemon. Jubilife Village is an excellent home base. The village's theme would be a relaxing one, if it wasn't on a 5-second loop. The farther you get into the game and the more missions you complete, the more you bring this village to life. Outside these walls are the native Diamond Clan and Pearl Clan, 2 clans at odds. They both worship the almighty Sinnoh, but describe each as a different being. The Diamond Clan describes their ruler as a ruler over time, and the Pearl Clan describes theirs as a ruler over space. The clans even have different opinions among themselves when trying to interpret the meaning behind the strange lightning from the space-time rift. Some want to heal Pokemon affected by strange lightning, and some even say lightning is a gift giving them greater power. The Galaxy team takes a more scientific approach. Their job is to learn how to coexist with Pokemon, which is where you come in as a new recruit to research and document Pokemon behavior. As you explore, you'll meet members of each clan asking for your help in quelling their noble Pokemon's rage, which includes the most out-of-pocket addition to a main series Pokemon game, real-time combat. The process of quelling noble Pokemon requires gathering their favorite food and throwing it at them to calm them down. Which I mean, yeah, throwing food at me calms me down, but it's equally important that they eat the food too. Getting close means dodging their rage-filled attacks, like dodging out of the way, paying attention to your invulnerability frames, in a Pokemon game. Feels weird to say. But these segments are pretty fun. Each noble Pokemon's attacks feel distinct, and you even get a chance to send in your Pokemon to deal some extra damage. No one here is truly evil in this story. Everyone has their disagreements, but they're trying to get along. The leaders will often meet to talk and communicate in a way that feels like they're doing everything they can for the betterment of everyone. It's a great feeling being an active part of. With your help, the characters really grow on you by the end, and Hisui starts to feel like a second home. Pokemon games rock. I have a lot of respect for Pokemon Legends Arceus for trying something new and pushing the series forward. Pokemon has always been a series of small innovations over generations, but Legends Arceus feels like generations of innovations over a single game. It was refreshing seeing a new side of this world I thought I was all too familiar with. And now I have the foresight to see how some of the innovations made in this game influenced the next mainline title in the series, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, a title I would love to talk about in the future. Pokemon Legends Arceus manages to copy the structure of past Pokemon games while standing out enough to spin off a series of its own as we're being teased about a new Legends game, Pokemon Legends ZA. The future looks bright, and we have Legends Arceus to thank for it. Thanks for watching the full video. If you want to support the channel, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing the video with others. You can find me at Ryan Beardy on social media, as well as Discord with links in the description below.